So let's go ahead and read off Luigi Mangione's Manifesto. To the feds. I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook at present has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the U.S. has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly 42 in life expectancy. United is the indecipherable, the motherfucking largest country. No. Well, a big country. Bigger than 170 countries. The largest company in the U.S. by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. It has grown and grown, but as our life expectancy? No, the reality is these motherfuckers, indecipherable, two indecipherables, have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex. But I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument, but many have illuminated the corruption and greed, e.g. Rosenthal, more decades ago, and problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I'm the first to face it with such brutal honesty. Now, he said something interesting here. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do list that illuminate the gist of it. So what are these straggling notes and what are these to-do lists? So where's that spiral notebook at? Where is that spiral notebook at? That's what I'd like to know. Here's some words from Luigi Mangione's lawyer. The guy's name is Tom Dickey.
That is correct. Listen, I haven't seen any evidence that says that he's the shooter. So that's like I said earlier, and I wasn't kidding around. A couple of things: if you're going to report something, report it accurately, and remember. And this is not just a small thing. The fundamental concept of American justice is the presumption of innocence, and until you're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I've seen zero evidence at this point, and so I'm not even aware of what any charges. Well, doing a hearing today was the extradition, so we're going to take one step at a time. It's a long process. Can be a long process. I'm sorry? I don't have any control over what the NYPD does, and if they release something, I hope I can get my hands on them. And if you guys get them, send them to me. I'd appreciate it. Well, he has a hearing coming up. I believe it's the 20-somethingth. I can't recall. A lot happened today. So until they haven't even had a prima facie case established yet, so they have to have a prima facie case established before the case can move on to the Court of Common Pleas. So the burden is always on the government, thank God, and that's their burden, and they're going to have to produce some evidence, and we're anxious to see it.
Understanding that you have said you have not seen charges coming up, if and when there are, and you have seen them, will you plead not guilty to those as well?
That would be my expectation. That certainly would be my advice.
Your client's demeanor the past 2 days, the arraignment and again today, the hearing. At some points he was smiling, laughing. You didn't have to actually tell him to start talking. What are his feelings right now? He seems outspoken.
Well, all I can, he's all, I said earlier, use your common sense. If you put yourself in, you or a loved one in that position, it's, natural, I think, to go through many emotional states. As far as him not talking, as long as I'm going to be the lawyer, I'm going to do all the talking. My client's not going to say anything.
So this guy seems to be pretty conservative. He seems to be handling all these questions pretty well.
A quick question about process. I was also at the hearing last night. I don't remember anything being asked for.
I don't know if you can hear everything, but he said that he pleaded not guilty to the Pennsylvania charges. Earlier, there is a report that he had filed, or he needed to file habeas corpus. He just said that they haven't even presented the evidence for their case yet. There needs to be a prima facie hearing, prima facie being on its face, this is true or not true. There's also evidentiary hearings. There's also grand jury indictment. The Fifth Amendment requires a grand jury indictment. You got preliminary hearings. So I'm not for sure. He also talked about the Pennsylvania Court of Appeals, or the common pleas. So before they have to do a prima facie hearing, then it goes to the common pleas court. So,
okay. As long as he hasn't pled guilty, that's all I care about. So.
Yeah, in the Blair County case, it's just
Well, I'm telling you, as his lawyer, he didn't have any lawyer of record, and he didn't have any representation until I got involved this afternoon. And I'm telling you, he's pleading not guilty to each and every one.
When does that thing normally happen?
Like I said, normally that could happen at the what happened last night at the informal arraignment, which is at the magisterial district judge.
So is he telling you this is all some sort of awful mistake?
I'm not going to talk about anything he's told me.
How do you end up in Altoona?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Has he been deployed on hospital since?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that either.
Can you tell us when you were hired?
I can say sometime prior to the hearing this afternoon.
You were hired by him.
That is correct.
If Governor Mitchell signed, provides his governor's expedition.
So he was hired. This is not a public pretender. He was hired. So I don't know who paid for this guy, but
Does that change the timetable here? You still have the right to habeas hearing, don't you?
Yes, sir, we do. Like I said, and I'm not trying to be. It's 24. I'm not trying to be a smartass or anything, but when we've got to wait until we see things. When things happen, we'll react to that and proceed accordingly.
Since cameras weren't allowed in the courtroom, which is normal,
In Pennsylvania, that's the law.
would you be able to give us a summary of what it is that happened in the courtroom today?
Yeah, today is basically what it was, and it happened fast. There was an extradition hearing scheduled. I found out about that about an hour or so before the hearing, and the initial thing is a person can waive extradition, and it was my opinion and my advice under the circumstances that he not, and I emphasize the not because apparently there is news reports already going out that he waived his extradition. He did not do that, and so that's why we wanted to make sure we're going to use the process and use the Constitution and the rights that are available to any one of us in this room and any American citizen or person charged with a crime. So we're going to move forward.
this is good publicity for Tom Dickey. Tom Dickey Law Offices. He's got his name right there behind him. I don't know how much money he is getting, but even if he did it pro bono, sometimes lawyers will just jump on a case, pro bono, thinking they're going to get some money, at the end of it, if it's like some sort of defamation or, personal injury or something like that. But even if you're a fairly good lawyer, charge thousands of dollars per hour and shit like that, I think it's a smart idea for a lawyer to take a case, a high-profile case like this. Technically speaking, everybody has a right to representation. You had John Adams that represented those Boston Massacre fucking redcoat bastards, right? And so you have a right to representation. And I would think actually as a judge that you would want the opposing side to have the best representation possible, so that way the conviction is nice, good, clean conviction. Without representation, did you just kind of ramrod the person, laugh at them, deny all their emotions, and know that they can't or don't think that they'll know how to do the appeal or something? So everybody has a right to representation. He also says that they did not deny the extradition. So there's a habeas corpus hearing coming on that he's mentioned. There's a prima facie hearing, and then extradition. So he just heard about it an hour ago, so I guess they scheduled the extradition hearing for later on. And then he said that media had reported that he waived the extradition, which, why they got that wrong. They just, it wasn't imperfect. They just flat out got it wrong.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so in Pennsylvania, the Constitution says that all crimes are generally a bailable offense. Bailable offense means you have to set some form of bail. The exception to that is if it's a capital case, which means the Commonwealth or the government is looking for the death penalty, and I'm proud to say I'm one of the few attorneys in Pennsylvania that's qualified to do death penalty cases. But those which this is not a capital case, or if a first degree murder, which carries in Pennsylvania life without parole. If the charge which you're faced with is life without parole, then you're not eligible for bail. Since the crime, at least what was set forth by the district attorney, was alleged to be a second degree murder, that's not life without parole. So I believe that the bail should have been set.
Today was a bail hearing, and he was saying that since it wasn't a capital case, it's second degree murder charge is life in jail without parole, and so therefore he thought that bail should be set, but the judge said no bail.
Yeah, now you got to understand, when you set bail, the judge could set $1 million bail. It could be $5 million bail, but you get bail. That's what you do. And like I said, anytime you look at the criminal justice system, pretend you're that one in that spotlight. You're going to want to be out. And, so yeah, I think he was entitled to bail, and the judge makes it $100 million or $10 billion or $100,000, he's entitled to bail. But to simply say no bail, in all due respect to a judge, I believe bail should be set. I can't because I wasn't at that proceeding.
You can watch the rest of this on your own. It's Luigi Mangione's Lawyer Speaks, News Nation.